Duck season's here right now, guys. What call are you using? Let me tell you about the 3 calls we make. We make a double read, single read, and a cut down version. Let me tell you why. We make 3 different calls, and let me tell you how I use those in the field. I'm George Lynch with Legendary Gear. This is the George Lynch Hunting Podcast, brought to you by Legendary Gear, the game call company that is legend by design. Well, guys, duck season's here. Let me face it, it's pretty slow right now. We're in the middle of November. We're in a big, huge drought here in Iowa. We're waiting on north winds. It's hard to get migrating ducks when you got weeks after weeks of south winds there. But anyway, what a better time to get a new call and start working with it and start practicing. I'm going to tell you about the 3 calls we make. We make the double read and the nose dive. Now, this is my personal calls that I use and how I tune them, and I'm going to tell you why and how I use them in the field. This nose dive is in acrylic. I tune my nose dive, my double read, a little softer and a little lighter. This is a call that I want to get is that little hen that's filling in. It's not trying to be the boss hen. It's not trying to be the controlling hen. It's a filler hen. It's the background hen. It's when you walk into the marsh in the morning and it's still dark. You hear all those ducks on the marsh and you hear that boss hen. Wah, 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 wah. Well, this is the gal over in the corner. Wah, 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 wah. It's a great filler in. And I'm going to explain what's important with these 3 different calls and how to utilize them with your groups and your hunting situation. Now, with this little double read, I'll just get that. Now you see that's nice and soft, but yet still raspy. So you're asking me, why is it in acrylic? Well, I like to make the call a little softer to run, a little less air. And by doing that, I'm not, by going to acrylic, a harder material, a harder call, I'm not going to sacrifice the sharpness by using less air. So by going to acrylic with a double read that I'm going to make lighter, it's going to allow me to still allows me to get that sharpness in that call that I'm looking for. My second thing that we make, or my choice, and it's going to be in my lanyard, is our Impact, my single read. Now, this is in Delrin. Don't everybody go out and say, wow, he doesn't make single reads in acrylic. We do. For me personally, I like to fit different calls, just like in the goose situation. I like to have different calls made for different sounds and different occasions. My single read, I tune super stiff. I want that call, to be loud if it's very windy, but I want it to be raspy, kind of like the cut down. I'm not looking for that hail call. I'm still hoping that either your spinners or your decoys or your jerk string, anything like that that's a long distance that by sight. Remember, all birds can see further than they can hear. So whatever I use on the water, that's my long range of trying to get them. And once they start coming in, I've always said what separates the men from the boys is that last 50 yards. So on my single read, if I'm still hunting in a tight area, and an area that could still have echo, but maybe it's a little flooded timber area, whatever, I will still use it if it's windy. So by this, blah, 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 blah. You hear I got that nice, good, fast feed, good rolling feed, but it's got that real raspy and hard hit hen that I can get on to turn that hen, if she's reaching out there, calling at the sides, or when she's doing that far away from you, your back to you. Now I tune this super stiff. Again, if I tried to do a hail call on this call, it's going to kind of flatten out. I didn't design this to give that high ring. I just wanted that. Hear that sharp, how loud a feed is, really loud. So if you want to just work them on the sides of that feed, that call, I'm telling you, you notice it's deeper in octave. It is a deadly call in the field, open field. If I'm hunting, in a field situation, it's a great call because I'm still going to get that raspy, controlling hen. I got the volume for it, but the thing is, I get down soft with it. This is a great call. The way I tune in this style of this call, this is a great call for the guy who's trying to get closer to that cut down sound, but doesn't have the air, to want to put the time in to get that sound of a cut down. So speaking of cut down, that's going to bring me to our axe. Now this call is designed, it's a single reed, the 14 thousandths. This call was designed, I can tune it super heavy to get that more deep barking. For me personally, it takes too much air. I got some great friends that the younger guys who's got the air can push that call and really pull that big, deep hen out of there. I'm just going to tell you that I can't. I can get it ducky and I can get that boss in, and I definitely can get it loud enough in the field for my situation. So we designed this call, and I kind of tune them. It's going to be easier for a guy who's wanting to get into a cut down. Now you're still going to have to use the work. And I tell everybody, it's a different beast than the J-frame. It's going to take a little more work. It is going to take a little more air pressure at the beginning. You got to be more forward thrusted with it. So this is going to be the cut down. And this call, no hail calling, to me, this is a straight meat sound that you're going to do. I just want straight raspy hen with a good feed to it, a sharp feed, not necessarily that bouncing, rolling feed. Some people can do that with a cut down. For me, I never had to use that to finish ducks to shoot them. So I'll kind of give you the cut down. So you hear that nice barking hen, and that's what I'm going to say, barking. That you can tell more rasp, but if you heard this call still has a lot of volume. Even though I'm not being able to do that hail call with it, it's got the sound. But the cool thing about it, once you start getting used to it, I can back the air off and hunt in an area that's pretty quiet and still. Yeah, I can still get kind of quiet, and that right there, guys, is really 90% of the time how I'm running that duck call in the field, and whether I'm hunting ponds, I'm hunting flooded timber, or if I'm hunting in the field. The field, I might get a little bit louder, put a little bit more air, but I'm telling you, basically that sound, and it carries something about the cut down with the sharpness and the pressure that you're pushing that out. That sound seems to project so much better. And you'll hear guys on social media and stuff when they're doing the cut down, you'll notice when they do the video, they step way back from the camera, recording phone, whatever they're using, because they always says, wow, it doesn't sound like a duck up close, but 20 yards away, man, does that sound like a boss hen. That is a cut down. I like to personally, that's why I said I like to have all three. It's three different styles. I practice on all three. Sometimes it can be tough running from, the cut down, going to the double read. And I have the tendency to, when I first get out to overrun it, but it doesn't take long. But each call, you just, you feel that air, you feel that read, you feel the lift of the read, you feel the resistance of the read is the best way I want to put it. Same way in a goose call, whether it's a stiff call, a light call. Everybody, guys will say, man, when you run that call, you can sound the same, a light call, medium call, or a heavy call. Well, it's because after time and utilizing my voice and my air, I can feel that resistance of that read, and I know when to apply more air and a little bit more at the beginning. At the beginning to get that read to lift up, because once that read is up, then it's the straight air is going to keep that. So again, that's three different calls, three different styles. For the guys just getting into duck calling, I always recommend the nosedive. Now this one, like I said, was tuned pretty light. I can tune one stiffer. I can put one, all it is, I'm putting, my bottom reed will be a little bit longer that will go in there. We do things that after machining that we do, it's a surgical procedure that goes around on each call that we do. And that's why each call is I keep working that call with an X-Acto knife and a little bit of, this right here and a little bit of sandpaper. And each place I hit on that soundboard creates that different sound. You're not going to get that sound just off a machine and a guy says, here you go. That is just the start of the process. It takes a lot longer for me tuning these duck calls than it ever does a goose call, and I shave and we go through all that. But a duck call, it's a kind of a minor surgery procedure that we go through to get that sound, and it's customizing. And each place that I want to change, I just know where to go with that knife, where to go with that X-Acto knife and scratch, and I know where to file to get that different sound. But I always recommend going with that nosedive. Something that's easy to get started. It's kind of a great duck call and training wheel. So that is the nosedive. I recommend that highly to the beginner. And a lot of guys who are big novice duck, or not novice, but guys who are seasoned duck hunters, they're never going to call on a stage. They're never going to be in a meat contest. They just want to kill ducks. Their way isn't having a loud call. It's about setting up in the right spot and their timing on the call. These are guys who are technical duck hunters who really know what a duck is. They know how to shoot and they know how to read a duck. So that's why I would recommend the nosedive. The single read, again, I change my impact. I make it really stiff, and I'll actually, what I do, and here's a secret when you're out in the field, and I show this. In fact, we'll do this on the nosedive. You'll see the difference. If I'm out in the field, again, I talked about on goose calls that goose reed it's a fine mylar, and it'll start relaxing over time. And especially if you leave your calls in the truck or in a vehicle with the heat, that heat will start relaxing that mylar. And what happens is it loses its tension, it loses its strength. So what I like to do, and if you ever watched any of the old Duck Commander videos, I've seen old Phil when a real windy morning, he's got his barrel apart and he's just bending that reed, not bend it to where you crease it, but we snap it. And that right there is like putting a steroid shot into that duck call. So it's a good thing to do when I'm out in the field. If I feel like my call's getting a little doggy, it's not responding. Maybe I'm running it too fast and too hard for that reed. I'll just snap it, give new life to that mylar, and it's a new call. Always remember, I probably do it when I'm duck hunting in the morning. I could do it at least twice in the morning because I still want to get that sharpness of that call. So, again, I'll bend that with that one reed. I'll just give it a snap. Wow, it's got that good, deep, raspy bark to it and a single reed. The cut down, I don't do it. It's just, you got a 14 thousandths reed. It's stiff enough for me. For the guys, like I said, who are true diehard cut down guys, they might like that. And they might make it a little stiffer because they got the air presentation, they work it. But for me and the ducks that I hunt and the volume that we use, I'll say this, I believe that probably 90% of the ducks that are lost of birds coming in are overblown. Guys calling too hard and too much. And so always remember less is more. And tell you what, you need to go to legendarygearusa.com. Check out our website. Check out our duck calls. Go to our sound files. And if you want to, my phone number is on the website. Call me up, man. I've worked with a lot of guys. They'll call and we work with them on calling lessons, so how to get them started. But we'll talk about what call is right for you. And again, we have this trial program that I mentioned in the Goose that, hey, you got 7 days, get that call. We are so confident in our product and what we make that if that isn't the call that for you, we definitely make another call that definitely could be in your perfect for you. And again, just like in the Goose calls, we have the Chaos, which is our double reed and single reed in our molded acrylic. Now our molds are all American made and they're made with acrylic, not polycarbonate. We tried to get something. We went to our company who's a huge injection molding company. We gave the chemist our machined acrylic calls. And I said, I want a composite that's going to have the tone. And we weren't worried about durability. Polycarbonate is a tough material, but we wanted something that's going to have pretty close to the same tone as our high-end acrylic. It's a long term, it's a long name of what the material that we use. It's molded in our molded acrylic, but bottom line, this is a molded acrylic call. The only one on the market that I know of. But our Chaos, I'm telling you what, for the guy just getting into duck hunting, or you got a young kid, you can buy a drawer full of the $20 calls. But I'll guarantee you this will be the best double or single reed that you'll get for under $50. Go to legendarygearusa.com. I hope you like this podcast. Go to it, subscribe, like it, get your buddies onto it. Let's get to the field. Let's kill some ducks this year and have a good time. Always remember, hunt safe, hunt smart, and may the good Lord be your guide.
Well, I'll be out there, rain is shining, all a part of the great design. Bring it on, I can never get enough, because that's what legends are made of.